G'day, it's Jamie, and welcome to Tandanoola Tigers. Today, I'm reading an old newspaper report about Tasmanian tiger or Thylacine attacks and encounters at the southwest coast of Tasmania in 1882. So we'll get into it. This article was published in the Mercury on Tuesday, the 19th of September, 1882, titled The Native Tiger. Having finished a prospecting tour in the southern part of the west coast of Tasmania, I returned northwards, followed the rugged coastline that was so great an attraction from a geological point of view. I also experienced this out-of-the-way place has other interests besides that of immaculate nature, even in the absence of all human beings, of those dusky forms once belonging to the soil, whom the pale-faced lords of creation have long ago used their superior civilization to blot out of existence. Not one is now left of the once numerous tribe who within man's memory roamed along the coast, enjoying all those animal pleasures that result from full physical health and strength. Now the only memorials left of the vanished race are the moss-grown tumuli, still remaining in great numbers in sheltered nooks. When cutting through some of these artificially made hillocks, I found only shells of muttonfish and bones of kangaroo, etc. The ancient camping grounds are yet plainly discernible by the mounds, and were always intelligently chosen in dry and sheltered places amongst the light timber. We often availed ourselves of these nooks to make a comfortable camp, with such luxuries in view as a warm and dry fern leaf bed well prepared, in hopeful anticipation of a good night's rest. By degrees, the evening would become hushed to an almost oppressive stillness, the distant surf, with its monotonous murmur, making the night seem only more solemn. While resting in the soft ferns with my companions by my side, who are already in the land of dreams, my dog sleeping in a bush of cut grass a short distance from the tent. The fire had burnt down so as to only make just fireable in the darkness. Some unidentified noise keeps me wakeful, with my sense of hearing strained to the utmost to make out the moaning of the peculiar creaking sound. At last I felt certain that I heard the breaking of a dried stick coming into contact with a moving body. Gently lifting up the side of the tent and thrusting out my head and arm in the low position as I am lying on ferns, I can make out in the pitchy darkness the appearance of two phosphorus-like orbs which slowly approach. In a few more seconds, I can dimly discern by the light shooting up from the few leaves of the almost expiring fire the long and round body of the native wolf or tiger. I get a tighter grip on the handle of my tomahawk, ready to give a warm reception to my night visitor. I remain emotionless, waiting for the monster sneaking towards me, expecting every moment that it will take a leap and commence battle, but this seems not to be their general tactic in the night. By inches it is coming nearer. Now, surely, it is within reach of my arm. Just then it seemed to perceive me lying under the tent, and gave vent to a low, angry snarl. I raised my weapon, and with a swift blow down, as I thought, on the brute's head, but the darkness misled me, and the blow fell short, doing any execution, but near enough to draw a few drops of blood, and thus to stop the brute's further progress. My companions were awakened by the disturbance, and gave vent to some very rather unpolite expressions. The dog got the scent of his great enemy, and set up a furious barking, and with this salute from bipeds and canine, the feline gentleman made himself scarce, and unluckily we had no firearms to persuade him to stop and make a nearer acquaintance. However, the dog rushed after him into the scrub, but soon came back. Apparently he did not see the fun of a night hunt. Up to the time that this adventure occurred, I was under the common impression that the native tiger would not kill its own food, but was merely a cowardly scavenger. But now I think that this idea can hardly be true, as his aggressive movement in this instance was too decided to be mistaken. Afterwards, in the course of many weeks, we had ample opportunities to learn the habits of the native tiger in this respect, and we observed that it hunts animals with the tenacity of a pack of wolves on the steppes of the frozen Russia. The native tiger is not swift and is very awkward in turning, but it follows the trail by its never-erring scent, and in the long run is sure on its prey. While travelling one day over some rocky points, we quite easily caught a kangaroo, well nigh run to the ground by the tiger. After dispatching the hunted victim, we had a sharp look out for the enemy. In a little while he came along with his nose following the trail. When within some 100 yards, he took the alarm, turned tail and escaped into the jungle. My dog, a courageous and very strong-built animal, followed the tiger into the dense scrub. Slowly I made my way through the obstructions and at last heard the baying signal of Wrangell a long distance off, too far for me to penetrate during the short time the battle lasted. In half an hour's time he came back to me bleeding and with his tail down, showing in his dejected appearance, as plainly as words could tell, about the lost engagement with the enemy. A few kind words had the effect of restoring his wounded feelings, and a good feed from the meat of the killed kangaroo made him all right again. But this constant disappointment in coming to close quarters made me even more determined to be the owner of a striped skin if the chance offered before I left the coast. I had noticed that tigers followed our trail, and often when travelling, I would leave my knapsack and turn back a mile or more with the object of surprising the animal on open ground. But he was too wary and always made for the dense forest. My dog seemed cowed and never made an attempt to attack by himself. On one beautiful afternoon, I was travelling towards our camp from a trip made that morning for carrying stores to a newly formed depot. I was returning without any weapon except my large sheath knife. The road led along the beach, the dog trotting peacefully by my side, or making a playful dart at the pretty little sandlarks. But why does he stop at the place so suddenly and pick out one of the many tracks that are so plainly visible on the soft surface of the sand? Impressions of footprints are numerous of all the quadrupeds found on the west coast. Those of native tigers, Tasmanian devils, and kangaroos are seen everywhere, and many native cats, etc. With a zeal I had not lately noticed, Wrangell, giving out a deep bloodhound note, was off and on the warpath. I followed as fast as possible, leaving the sandy beach behind, and turning round a rocky point, there was a glimpse of the dog in full pursuit of some large animal, which took to the scrub. Directly, the signal from Wrangell sounded at bay. I rejoiced to know for certain that his enemy had made a stand. The noise came from behind some close horizontal bushes. Taking it in at a glance, the position of the surroundings, one could see that no other means existed to come onto the battlefield except by crawling on hands and knees under the interlaced bushes. The angry growling of the tiger decided me to push on to the assistance of my gallant Wrangell at once, and thus dragging my body over the ground and under the bushes, I came pretty near running my head against the tiger, who was now placed between the dog and me. No attack has yet been made from either side. I tried to rise to my feet, but could not, on the account of the close branches above. The tiger made an attempt to fasten onto me with his ugly row of teeth. The dog's courage did not fail me at this critical moment. He made a snap and fastened onto his opponent's chest for 1 instant only. But that served my purpose, to get a chance to make a stab with the Bowie knife, and thus I succeeded in cutting the big brute's jugular vein, and his lifeblood streaming out settled the matter in a few seconds. Nevertheless, he had time to make a desperate effort to yaw me, as I was quite close to him. However, I took a short stick in my left hand and thrust it into his mouth. He chewed it up like pulp. In the meantime, I came out of the bushes and once more stood on my feet, thankful that the encounter had come off so well, and making a promise to be prepared with a better weapon in the next engagement with a native tiger. In a few minutes, the body was dragged out onto the beach, and I found it to be that of an old male of a very large size, measuring 8 feet in length, including the tail, and weighing about 100 pounds. I took off the skin, which shows 16 stripes. A young, full-grown animal rarely shows more than 7 or 8. As I had brought no firearms into the bush, I did not succeed in bagging any more tigers. In fact, I did not care to venture again so close after them. But I often saw them. They never had the temptation to risk another close encounter. The dog, even after the first night attack, had been very watchful and would, with his furious barking, often wake me up. And on one occasion I saw, on a moonlight night, a big tiger making a hasty retreat from close to the tent, and then take to the water in a broad and deep river and disappear on the opposite shore. But we never had another actual battle with one of these brutes. By Oscar, the end. Wow, that's pretty incredible encounters and attacks, that. That one that he killed down on the beach with the knife on the jugular vein was 8 feet long in length, including the tail. That's a pretty big size. And it was interesting that he said it had 16 stripes. And he said that most young adults or full-grown adults only have 7 or 8, which is pretty interesting. Okay, that's it for me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye.